Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So today we're going to be playing a bit more of Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. I'm going to be going through part of the No Extra Deck event, and we'll be playing mostly with the Chronomalies. I love this archetype, it's personally one of my favourites. I have been around since the beginning of the game, but it's one that I always play. In my starting hand I had two Call of the Haunted, a Chronomaly Moai, the Pyramid Eye Tablet, and the Colosseum, so nothing I could really do with the temple. There's nothing I could do, there's no monsters I can summon. Good thing is my opponent activates Harpy's Feather Duster for just getting rid of one card. I don't know what they thought they were going to actually target it, but apparently it was something big. They activate their Possible Desires, so they'll draw 2 cards by banishing 10 cards from their deck face down. I never like to play with the Possible Desires, I just think it's too, you're going to miss out on certain cards and you're not going to be able to recover them. They're setting a couple of cards face down. There's 3 face down, so that's quite dangerous. Who knows what those are going to be. Magic Cylinder, Mirror Force, anything of those kinds. Or most likely going to be Infinite Impermanence, evenly matched. Finally, I draw into the Mayan Machine, so I can actually do something now. Start with the Eye Tablet, that'll boost them up by 800 attack points. Summon the Mayan Machine. I will special summon the Moai. And I've tried to target the zones which aren't in the ones opposite my opponent's cards, just in case it is an impermanence. So my opponent takes 2,300 points of damage. It must not have been anything they could have done. If so, they might have just decided to avoid it. So they're playing a Machina-based deck. So that's one of the basic ones that they started off with. They are taking their sweet time though in this. Most of the time I will skip through this, but my opponent is just being a pain. Do you get this a lot on Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, where your opponent kind of stalls you out and just you end up waiting forever and ever just to get through your turn? I'm hoping with the new casual format that they introduced that this will encourage better games play and better sportsmanship. And probably a greater variety of decks. My opponent equips a Machina Union monster onto their monster. That'll mean they can keep their monster protected from being destroyed by destroying itself. My opponent activates their trap card, so they're going to special summon the Machina Citadel by destroying that equipped Union monster. They activate the effect of their equipped monster from the graveyard, and they get to re-special summon that to the field in defense position. They activate the effect of the card, and they'll probably re-equip it onto their Citadel. Citadel then uses its effect to destroy itself, but actually it's destroying the Union monsters to wipe out my monsters. My opponent then activates their limiter remover. Though this is a problem, it doubles their monster's attack points, and they're planning to defeat me in this turn. I'm forced to activate the Call of Haunted to see if I can minimise the damage I take. Because if I could survive the turn, then it still, by limiter removal, it destroys all of their monsters at the end phase. I draw into Ballista Squad, which is not useful. I've got no monsters to tribute to activate its effect. So I can't do anything, I have to end my turn. My opponent summons their Machina Sniper and uses its effect. They search for their Machina Fortress. And they use its effect by discarding a monster equivalent to its level or higher. They can special summon the Machina Fortress in attack mode. My opponent recovers their Machina Ruin Force from the graveyard by banishing monsters equivalent to its level or higher. And this is 4,600 attack monster. There's pretty much no way I can actually survive this. They use the effect of their trap card, they'll banish it. To recover a couple of their Machina monsters, send them back to the deck and draw an additional card. The Gear Frame's effect activates and it's going to equip itself to the Ruin Force. Well, that didn't go very well, did it? But we live and we learn. This is a better starting hand for me. I've got the Chronomedy Crystal Bones, the Mud Golem, the Tusper Rocket, the Globe, and Stonehenge Methods. So that's the only trap card I've got. I might have to adjust the deck because it seems to be very monster heavy. at least in this hand. They're playing the Flunderies, which is just common. They keep playing these decks. I get so bored of seeing Flunderies. They search for the Emperor Penguin. So they've got both the Robin and the Eaglin that they tribute, and it gets banished for the Emperor Penguin. And both of those effects let them go back to the hand from the banished pile. Let's search for a card. I'll set the card face down and end the turn. My opponent has to discard a card because they had too many in the hand. So I draw into the Chrononomy technology. I opt to go for the Crystal Bones to begin with, is by special summoning it. I'm then able to special summon another monster either from my hand or my graveyard. My opponent responds, and it basically negates my summon, it returns it to my hand. So I'm forced to use the Tusper Rocket. I opt to send the Winged Sphinx to reduce its attack points. Then I have to use the Chrononomy technology. That's going to banish the Winged Sphinx. I get to check the two cards. Overall, I decided the Skill Successor made more sense to keep. I'll normal summon the Mud Golem. At this point, they have the same attack points. And I summon the Globe. In the battle phase, I crash with the Mud Golem against the Emperor Penguin. Unfortunately, I forgot that it halves the attack points of my Mud Golem. So I end up losing life points. I have to go to main phase 2, and I choose to set the Skill Successor and the Stonehenge methods. My opponent activates their continuous spell card. I'm forced to activate Skill Successor, at least that way, you know, even with Harpy's Feather Duster eliminating my side of the field, at least it gets the 400 point boost. They summon another monster. It's one of the weak Wing Beast monsters. With its effect, they can banish the monster in my graveyard. They normal summon the Eagle. They'll search for the Emperor. No, this is the Flunderies and Snow. And they'll tribute over my monster and one of theirs. They'll do the same to my other monster and one of theirs. So they've got a full field of 2 of their same boss monster and 1 different one. And to rub in the salt, they've brought out the Robin, which searches for the Eaglin. They summon the Eaglin in attack mode. And there's no way of me winning. Frankly, it was just a whitewash. I was just completely dominated. They had 8,000 life points. I didn't manage to take away a single life point. And this one I've drawn okay. I've got the Tula Guardian, which is probably the worst Chronomaly I could have drawn into. I have the Moai. I have the Crystal Bones, but my opponent hasn't summoned anything. I have the Chronomaly Temple, the Stonehenge Methods, and I have the Ballista Squad. Unfortunately, because of how they've played their turn, I can't do anything other than to summon the monsters like that. Otherwise I would have been able to have basically used all 3. I activate the effect of the Temple, and in this case I'm going to tribute over the Crystal Bones so that I can do a little bit more damage. I'll set the Ballista Squad and end the turn. I wanted to keep the Stonehenge Methods in my hand just in case they've got a Harpy Feathered Duster. They don't seem to be trying my opponent, because either that or they've bricked very badly. I switched the Chronomaly Moai into attack mode, and they'll attack. I'll set a card face down and end my turn. My opponent sets a monster, and that's all they're going to do. I drew into the Pyramid Eye Tablet. I'll start off by just activating the Ballista Squad. I'll get rid of the Tula Guardian to get rid of their monster, just in case it had a face down effect. I'll activate the Pyramid Eye Tablet, and I'll just go straight into the battle phase. It's exactly the 2,600 necessary. Right, after reviewing that, I think it's well time for me to look at going back into the... seeing if I can adjust things. Hopefully in this match I will get a better opponent. I was checking if I had actually gotten any more gems, but no. Typical luck. So it's my choice. In this case, we're going to go second. I've got the Magdalene Globe, I've got the Moai, I've got 2 Chronomony Technology and the Torrential Tribute. My opponent activates Terraforming, searching for the Chaos Zone. My opponent sets a card face down. They activate the effect of their monster, so they get to pitch 1 to have it gain attack points equal to that monster. That's 3,000 attack points. I'm forced to set my Torrential Tribute face down. I'll summon the Magdalene Globe. My opponent activates their Eternal Chaos. I use the Globe's effect. By attributing it, I'm able to special summon some other monster. In this case, I will go with Tula Guardian. I chose to put it in defense mode. I use the effect of the Chronomony Technology in my hand, banishing the globe, and I draw into the Jelly Cannon. My opponent activates the Mystical Space Typhoon. That'll destroy my Torrential Tribute. They use the effect of their soldier to discard the Ritual Monster for Blackluster Soldier. And they search for a Blackluster Soldier Ritual spell. At which point, when they start attacking, I then use the Jelly Cannon, and I'll be sending it back to the deck. That seems to be the key component they're using, getting rid of all their high level monsters and just keeping this on the field. During my turn, I switch my monsters to attack mode. I special summon the Moai in face up defense position, set one card face down, and end my turn. So my opponent has set several cards face down. I draw into the Tusker Rocket and use its effect. So I will send the Chrononomy monster from the deck to the graveyard, and this will cut down their Machina monster by 1,000 attack points. I'll use the effect of the monster in my graveyard by paying 1,000 life points. I can summon it to my field. I'll go straight into the battle phase. My opponent activates their trap card. My opponent's connection seems to be kind of cutting out, unfortunately. So, based on this, who knows, I might... Oh, there we go. My opponent's able to bring out a monster by getting rid of the other Machina monster. I'll set my Torrential Tribute face down and my Ballista Squad, and end the turn. My monster, because it was summoned from the graveyard, then returns to my hand. My opponent activates their Machina continuous spell card. This is the one where they can discard a card from their hand to, it's the Machina redeployment to search for 2 other Machina monsters from the deck and add them to its hand. My opponent has got their Machina Fortress to the hand. And the other Machina monster, they activate its effects from the hand. And then special summon that. With its effect, I opt to actually use the Torrential Tribute to wipe out the field. But my opponent uses their red reboot to send my card back to my deck and negate it. I'm able to search for a trap card to set to my field. I choose the Ring of Destruction. He goes straight into the battle phase. I opt to use the effects of the monster in my hand to prevent its destruction. I still take 800 points of damage. I'll use the effect again for the second version I've got in my hand. And this time I take 1,800 points of damage. I draw into the Mayan Machine. I normal summon the Mayan Machine, and I will trigger off the Torrential Tribute. This will wipe out all the cards on the field, all the monsters. However, my opponent had the Citadel in the graveyard. Whenever his Earth Attribute Machine type monsters are destroyed, it can then be revived from the graveyard straight back to the field. I use the effect of my monster from the graveyard, and then I special summon it from the graveyard to the field. I'll follow up by using Ballista Squad. By attributing it, I can get rid of the Citadel. My opponent summons a monster, so at this point, rather than letting them do anything, I decided to use the Ring of Destruction. At least this way they'll take some battle damage, some effect damage. The Citadel's effect activates and it resummons to their field. There's nothing I can really do in response. They then attack me directly. So my opponent starts by setting a card face down. I could do a couple of things, so I've decided, since I've got the Tusper Rocket, not to activate its effect, but just to normal summon it. In which case I can then special summon the Moai from my hand. I can go into the battle phase and attack directly with the Tusper Rocket. My opponent immediately summons one of the UA monsters, the midfielder. I know that is the typical play, so instantly I get rid of midfielder. Otherwise, from there they just continue to special summon and exchange monsters. I draw into the Golden Jet, but that's probably the weakest one I could have drawn into. I'll banish the Tusper Rocket using Chronometry technology, but my opponent uses an Ash Blossom. I normal summon the Golden Jet, switch the Moai into attack mode, and attack directly with both monsters. My opponent activates their UI signing deal. This enables them to then special summon a UA monster from their deck. and they take 300 points of damage times the level of the monster, so that's why they lost 1,200. That got them the midfielder. Unfortunately, that means they then get the Dreadnought Dunker, and this is where the combos start to pile on. Because I took battle damage from its effect, will now destroy one of the cards I've got on my field, so I lose my Stonehenge methods. They'll then switch out the monster for another one. They go for the Perfect Ace. They'll bring out the midfielder and end their turn. The Moai will then attack straight into their midfielder, at least getting rid of that would be a good idea. But my opponent activates their UA penalty box. With its effect, my monster then gets banished. My opponent then activates their warrior, not the warrior returning alive, reinforcements of the army to search for one of their warrior type monsters. They'll trade in their monster for the Spike Libero and the Dreadnought Dunker. And they'll attack with both monsters. I draw into probably the worst card I could have drawn into, which is the Chronomany Temple. And I've got no choice but to end the turn. Since it's the second end phase, it means I get my Chronomany Moai back. The Dreadnought Dunker uses its effect. Well, it goes into battle. I use the effect of my Chronomany monster, which prevents it from being destroyed. But then the Dunker's effect destroys my Moai. And they attack directly with their Libero Spiker. That's the problem, because I've got no access to the Xyz monster. That's why it's more difficult, far more difficult for a deck that's built basically around their Xyz monsters to exist. So it seems I'm facing off against maybe a Dark Magician player. In my hand I've got Aztec Mask, the Chronomany Technology, Pyramid Eye Turtle, the Pyramid Eye Tablet, Skill Successor, and the Ballista Squad. So my opponent is able to special summon a Dark Magician in defense position and set one card face down. I'll start with the Pyramid Eye Tablet. With that out of the way, I'm able to special summon the Aztec Mask, because I've activated a spell card in the turn. I then normal summon the Tasper Rocket, and I'll use its effect. Sending a monster to the graveyard, reducing the Dark Magician's attack points by 1,000. I use the effect of the monster to return itself to the field, and my opponent uses their Max C. They attack using the Aztec Mask against the Dark Magician. I attack with the Tasper Rocket and my other monster. I go to my second main phase, and I'll set the Ballista Squad and end the turn. My opponent activates their circle. I know this is one of the key cards they have, and I just want to prevent that from happening, so I get rid of the Tasper Rocket to get rid of the dark magical circle. The other card would probably have been the one that is the continuous trap card that continues to revive their monsters. My opponent then sends a Dark Magician to the graveyard. And special summon a second Dark Magician in attack position. I'll use the effect of the monster in my hand. By discarding it, I protect my Aztec Mask. And my opponent decides to finish the duel. He's not interested, so he quits. So I was just going to have a quick look at a couple of the packs. I've got enough gems for a couple of mystery packs. This one, we've got a Clockwork Resonator, the Time Lord monster, a Shrink, a Dark World monster. There's nothing too great in that pack. This one, we've got a Dark World monster, there's a Gravekeeper in here, there's a Blue Eyes monster, so that's fine. There's a Despot in here, and this unlocks the Blue Eyes deck, the pack. We'll have a quick look at what is contained within this pack.